The whole world is taken over by hundreds of blind aliens with super tough skin and scarily robust hearing. These monsters are lightning fast and mega strong. That's why the few humans left across the globe are scared to make any noise, because they know they don't stand a chance against these beasts in a fight. For many years, the last remaining humans have opted to stay quiet. Most cities in the US have become ruined. It's hard to find a single soul among the wreck the aliens have caused. The beautiful cities of the country have turned into hell. The whole place is as silent as a grave. The most frightening thing is that there is not a single human being on the roads. Hundreds and thousands of families have been misplaced. It is obvious that something is very wrong, and something terrible has happened. Enter the Abbott family, one of the few remaining families in the country. The family silently head to gather some supplies in a deserted mart. The family is comprised of Evelyn, the mother, Lee, the father, their two sons, Marcus and Beau, and their deaf daughter, Regan. The Abbotts are quick to adjust, and they have survived by not making even a small sound. Evelyn very carefully takes a medicine off the shelf and feeds it to her ill son, Marcus. Meanwhile, Beau draws a structure of a spaceship with chalk and shows it to Regan to indulge his interest in spaceships. This shows how they have adapted to their current disastrous situation. Beau finds a shelf with numerous toys, and finds a spaceship that catches his attention. However, when he is taking the toy off the shelf, it slips from his hand. Thanks to their luck, Regan catches it before it falls to the ground. They all are scared to make even the slightest noise. Lee then calls Regan with sign language, because they know that a small sound could cost them their lives. Lee tells Regan that he has gathered all the tools to create a device that can connect them to radio signals. Evelyn and Marcus also join them, and Evelyn signals Lee that they should return home before it gets dark, as it can be dangerous to return at night. This is where Beau reveals the spaceship toy, and requests his father to let him take it home. Lee disapproves, and takes the toy away from Beau. He removes its batteries and puts them aside, so that the toy doesn't make any sound. Beau gets upset, as he really wants it. The Abbotts leave, but before they do, Regan secretly hands the toy to Beau, as she loves her younger brother and isn't pleased to see him sad. But what Regan doesn't know is that while leaving the shop, Beau picks up the batteries of the spaceship, and doesn't tell any of the family members, as they will throw the batteries away. The Abbotts start walking towards their beloved home. They have carefully put sand all over the ground, all the way to their home, so that their footsteps don't attract the deadly aliens that could show up at any second. Soon they reach a bridge, and their path through the strange forest is about to end. This is where Beau turns on his spaceship toy and starts to play with it. The toy produces a piece of loud music, and the entire family trembles in fear, knowing what's about to come. Suddenly, something big and fast starts to approach Beau out of the forest. All the other family members are ahead of Beau. As Lee hears it, he runs as fast as he can, as he can't afford to lose his beloved son. Unfortunately, the big heavy alien is too quick, and it outruns Lee. It comes out in no time and terminates Beau. The Abbott family is in disbelief. The pain of Lee and Evelyn is immeasurable, and the most terrible thing is that they must bear this pain without making a sound. No doubt their lives have become a living hell for them. 400 more days pass by, and the Abbott family somehow manages to stay alive in this silent world. The deadly monsters are around every corner. Despite being an intelligent individual, Lee fears one thing. That is, there are about 3 of the aliens living near his house, and he hasn't found their weakness. Lee is still trying to find it, as it would give his family some leverage over the aliens. He knows that he has to study the behavior of these creatures, so that he can find their weaknesses and make his family's survival easier. Lee has placed cameras all over his house to keep an eye on them. The cameras are also placed in different places around the field, giving him a clearer view. He has also set up parameters, and he has even changed different aspects of his house that have made it more soundproof. He has prepared notes on the characteristics of the creatures that he has observed so far. Some of the characteristics of these beasts include blindness, as the creatures aren't able to see anything around them, and strong skin, nothing can tear it apart, and the effectiveness of guns are 0 to none. But probably the biggest characteristic, which everyone is familiar with, has to be their ability to be attracted towards a noise. Lee has always been a smart man, so he gets ahead of everyone and always prepares himself for the worst. He has gathered all of the necessary medical supplies that are needed if someone gets hurt while being chased by the creatures. Lee has made a device from the tools he collected from the mart. This device enables Lee to communicate through radio frequencies with other people across the country. He tries to connect with others, but in vain. The list he has made up containing the radio frequencies of other states is getting shorter day by day, and difficulties for Lee are now increasing. Amidst all this chaos, Lee is always comforted by his beloved wife Evelyn, and both are waiting to welcome their new child into the world. Evelyn doesn't want to suffer the loss of another child, and she is well aware of the fact that the newborn will make noise. Just like Lee, Evelyn is always prepared for everything, and she has gathered all of the items that are needed for her upcoming baby. One evening, Lee climbs a tower near him and starts a fire, so that anyone alive could see it and find refuge at Lee's home. Lee also sees a fire far away, on the top of a hill. The sight of each other's fires is giving both the Abbotts and the strangers hope that some are still surviving and making ends meet. Later that night, the Abbotts have dinner, and after that, Lee and Evelyn get busy with their work. Marcus and Regan start to play Monopoly, as it is the only source of entertainment for them. While playing the game, Marcus gets a little excited and his hand accidentally hits the fire lamp, breaking it in the process. Lee comes in a hurry and puts out the fire in mere second. But the fire isn't the main concern here. It's the sound of the breaking glass that could have put the entire family's lives in jeopardy. Lee signals everyone to freeze and stay silent. Suddenly, they hear the sound of something crawling on the rooftop. The Abbotts get scared, and they question if they are the next victim. They find out that it wasn't an alien, rather, it was something else. The Abbott family relaxes, and they have lived to see another day. The next day, Lee decides to build a cochlear implant for Regan so that she can hear a little bit. Even though the outside world is quiet as a mouse, Regan still wants to listen. Thus, to fulfill this wish and make his daughter happy, Lee starts to make her a cochlear implant. Evelyn appreciates what Lee does for the family, and she never hesitates to show her love to her husband. With every passing hour, Lee thinks of taking every possible precaution. Lee knows that he may have to leave his family behind to do more research on the creatures. He always fears, though, how his family will contact him if the monsters show up to attack them in his absence. To counter this problem, he sets up red light bulbs all around the field outside his house. If, in his absence, his family encounters anything, they can turn the red light bulbs on, and Lee will know he has to hurry home. Much of Lee's equipment is placed in the basement. One time, Regan gets curious and starts to walk toward the basement, but her father stops her from going in there, which makes Regan upset, as she feels that her father thinks she is immature and would cause trouble. Lee gives the cochlear implant to Regan. However, out of frustration, she lets Lee know that he has tried to make the cochlear implant multiple times in the past, but it has never worked properly. Lee gets emotional, as he feels has failed to make her daughter happy, but he promises Regan that he won't give up and will make a proper cochlear implant soon. Lee takes her hand, gives her the device anyway, and walks away. He also understands the fact that Marcus is getting older and needs to learn survival techniques, as Lee's life is uncertain, and if something happens to him, Marcus should be there for the family. Lee then decides to take his son fishing to teach him all about it. When Marcus gets to know that he is going fishing, he is terrified, as he thinks he will make some mistakes and summon the creatures. Evelyn plays her role as a mother very well, as a mother knows what's best for the child. Hence, when Marcus approaches Evelyn, she shows love towards him and assures Marcus that Lee won't let anything happen. He eventually calms down and agrees to go. Marcus and Lee prepare to leave, but before they do, Regan stops them and shows her desire to go with them. Lee peacefully rejects her request and asks Regan to stay with her pregnant mother and take care of her. Regan fails to understand this, so she goes to her room, upset. Marcus and Lee reach a lake nearby. Lee catches the fish with his trap and signals Marcus to put the fish in the basket. The fish makes a lot of flapping sounds, and this scares Marcus as he signals Lee that the flapping sounds of the fish could attract the creatures nearby. Lee has a satisfactory and smart answer to this. Lee tells Marcus that the creatures won't be hunting them because the sound of the water is already too loud, therefore they won't be heard. Somehow, Marcus still isn't too comfortable with the answer his father gave. To prove this, Lee takes Marcus close to an area with a waterfall and asks Marcus to shout. Marcus refuses to do so, but Lee does, and Marcus is horrified. Soon, Marcus realizes his father was right, and the horrifying creatures aren't seen anywhere. Marcus gets comfortable and starts to talk with Lee. Marcus addresses the elephant in the room and questions whether his father blames Regan for what happened to Bo. Lee pauses for a minute, then answers that he doesn't think that the accident happened because of her. He loves all of them very much. On the other hand, Regan packs her bag and goes to the area where Bo lost his life. Regan blames herself for it, and in his memory, Regan places the same spaceship Bo wanted so bad all those months ago. She starts to think that Lee hates her because she was the one who gave Bo the spaceship. Regan feels extremely guilty, but she knows that she can't do anything that will bring Bo back. Lee and Marcus start walking towards home. As they are crossing the forest, they come across a creepy old man standing beside the body of an old lady. The man is staring right at Lee and Marcus. Lee realizes something bad is about to happen. Lee signals the man to stay quiet, but the man opts to speak. He says that the creature took his wife. Lee frantically gestures at him, but he disregards him and shouts at the top of his lungs. Lee knows what's about to happen, and not wanting Marcus to see anything horrific, he picks up his son and jumps behind a tree. Lee looks up and witnesses that the creature has done its job. At home, Evelyn realizes that she is going into labor. She decides to go downstairs to the basement so that she doesn't make any noise, but she accidentally steps on a nail and drops a photo frame that she was holding in her hand, creating a loud noise in the process. Even though it hurts a lot, she tries to stay quiet and not make any noise. The sound of the breaking frame was loud, so she knows that the creature will now be coming toward her. To give the signal of danger, she turns on the red warning lights so that Lee comes quickly to help her. Evelyn comes down and sees the creature upstairs waiting for her, waiting to hear one more sound. Lee reaches the field and sees the red lights from a distance. He and Marcus rush towards the house. He doesn't want to lose his wife and daughter. When he gets close, he signals Marcus to go a few meters away from the house and light up fireworks, so that the creature will be distracted and that Lee can help Evelyn. Marcus follows the instructions, and as soon as the fireworks blow, Evelyn gives birth to the baby in the sound of that loud firework. Lee enters the house with a rifle. He wants to save his wife and daughter. What Lee sees next almost made him go insane. He sees some blood where Evelyn had just given birth. Lee thinks that he has failed and lost Evelyn. Lee is about to cry, but then Evelyn touches him from behind, and Lee quickly embraces her. He feels relieved, and he quickly leads Evelyn and the baby to a room in the basement so that they remain safe. Fireworks and red lights draw the attention of Regan, and she decides to return home. Marcus, after lighting up the fireworks, starts to walk towards the house, but then he notices some movement in the fields. This terrifies him, and in fear, he starts to run home, but falls. Regan, returning, notices something coming from the fields. She goes to check it, and finds her brother Marcus on the ground, terrified. She bends down to pick Marcus up, but this is when the fiend comes from behind. As it's about to attack, Regan's cochlear implant starts to make high-frequency noise, which makes the creature scream in pain. The creature runs away, and while Regan may have not noticed it, she inadvertently found the weakness of those aliens. Evelyn now tells Lee to look after the children. Lee leaves the basement to look, whereas Regan and Marcus climb a tower and start a fire, but to their luck, the fire ends very quickly. This scares and disappoints both of them, and they now hope Lee comes to save them soon. But on the other side, a water leakage begins to create more problems at home, and Evelyn wakes up to find that her basement is full of water, and the creature is right next to the baby. Evelyn picks up her baby and goes behind the area where the leakage is occurring, as the sound of the water flow is loud there. This helps her, as the beast isn't able to hear her, and both she and her newborn survive. The tower door breaks, and Marcus falls inside. To save Marcus, Regan also jumps inside it. The sound is heard by Lee, and he runs towards the tower, but the big creature is faster and reaches the tower first. Regan and Marcus put the tower door over themselves before the alien can attack them. During the attack, the cochlear implant starts producing high-pitched noises, and to their luck, the beast runs away. Still, Regan and Marcus don't realize that they were both saved twice by the cochlear implant. Lee finds Regan and Marcus, and signals them to return home quickly as the creatures are still around. While returning, Lee hears the creature and immediately makes Regan and Marcus hide in a truck. Lee takes out an axe, and the creature attacks Lee. Marcus shouts after seeing this, and he surely isn't prepared to see his father lose his life. The shout draws the creature towards the truck. Having no other option to save his kids, Lee decides to sacrifice his life for the well-being of his family. Lee signals Regan that he loves her a lot, and will always, and it wasn't her fault, what happened to Bo. Lee shouts, which attracts the creature, and Lee sacrifices himself, giving his kids time to escape. Evelyn sees all of this on camera in utter shock. Marcus and Regan reach home safely, and the Abbott family start to cry over the great loss and sacrifice of Lee. But again, strange noises are heard. Regan finds out that her father set up a plan for her in the basement. All of a sudden, the creature approaches them. Regan quickly puts her cochlear implant on a microphone, making the high-pitched noise louder. This weakens the monster and reveals its vulnerability to Evelyn. Taking advantage of this, Evelyn shoots the monster's vulnerable flesh and successfully ends it. If the creature hears a high-pitched noise, the monster will uncover the sensitive part of the head, and if it is shot there, the monster will be defeated. After hearing the gunshot, more creatures approach the family. Feeling empowered by their recent victory against one of the monsters, they look at each other with a strong sense of confidence. Evelyn loads her shotgun, and the entire family prepares to confront the approaching danger.